Okay, 1, 2, 3,
So, Becky, welcome.
Wait a second, we have to do a thing. I'm going to start doing a new thing on the podcast.
Oh, Christ.
Welcome to episode 45.
Really?
Now everybody knows what episode it is.
Episode 45. Okay. Welcome to episode 45 of Hombu Dojo podcast. We have Becky here with us. How are you doing, Becky?
Yeah, good. Good to see you both.
Becky is an HDKI karateka from somewhere in England.
Somewhere in England, right down at the bottom, the best bit.
The bottom one. From the bottom of England. And
yeah, way down the
bottom England has indeed. Would you say England has a very lovely bottom?
It's not bad. It's not a bad view from here. Yeah.
Very good. So you've had a lot going on, Becky. You've just had a child.
Yes.
You've just started your own dojo.
Yeah, we're coming up almost to the day to a year since that launched.
Fantastic, and you've just started back at work after all this COVID business things, yeah. So how's all that going? How's the juggle?
Yeah, it's challenging for sure, but no, it's good. It's been a crazy sort of year, 18 months really, but it's good. I'm enjoying my karate a lot more than ever. I think I feel like I'm getting on a bit, and I was a bit like, oh no, this is the end, but I actually feel like it's just starting, which is awesome. Like I said, with the club, yeah, it's really good with the club going as well. I think it's challenging me in different ways. It's something that I haven't done much of before, sort of teaching, and you guys will know for sure it's odd, like when you've got such a kind of variety of people that are turning up with wanting different stuff out of it. It's kind of challenging to think about it and to make it work really, but it seems to be. Who sets up a karate club in the middle of a pandemic?
I was right about to say, what the heck.
No time like the present.
Yeah, that shows gumption, all right.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the biggest thing I found when I started teaching was that you couldn't get away with just doing the stuff that you wanted to do anymore. Yeah, you have to do the stuff that you can't, like, you almost hate.
You have to do Heian Shodan again and again.
Heian Shodan, Gedan Barai, Yakuzuki, like all that sort of basic stuff that you think, Christ, I thought I left this behind ages ago, but no, you're back at it, and I think it forces you to look at your own karate a little bit as well. I think you find more depth to what you're doing. Definitely.
I think it was good prep though. I graded recently, you may have seen, and I think looking at things in a different way really helped with that development. Like for me, I think Sandan was always going to be a massive grading. It felt like a huge deal. So it sort of helped with the kind of feeling like, yeah, actually you can give that a go because you've got a bit more substance to back up what you're doing now. So it's good.
Well, let's hear a bit about your journey to Sandan. Who was guiding you? Who was your instructor? And who graded you? And what was your approach to the syllabus and your kata? Give us all that.
Oh dear. So Paul Sensei is the main man. He's been my instructor for a very, very long time.
And now she's left him. She feels free, like she's enjoying the karate more than
ever. Paul Sensei. He's been on the podcast.
Yeah. He really is. He's a top guy, and I'm his student. I always will be his student. But he's very encouraging of kind of your own personal development, and I think probably without the support and encouragement that he's given me, he could quite easily see me as competition, setting up another club in the same city and stuff like that. And he hasn't. He's made himself very available and really helped to facilitate that and given me opportunities and stuff, which has been awesome. So even with my sort of teaching at the club, I'll make sure that I'm still training with him, and he's got so much to offer, so much knowledge and stuff like that. So really, really important, I think, to keep that up. So he played a massive part in it. I did a lot of additional training, sort of fitness stuff, and the syllabus like every day for, I think I gave myself an 18-month lead up to the grading, and then it got pushed back by 6 months because of COVID. So pretty much 2 years.
Yosh.
Yeah.
Good job.
You were
Yeah.
probably sick of it by the time the grading rolled around, eh?
Pretty much. When it got to the grading, I kind of in my head, I think it helped to not get so nervous about it, because I just wasn't convinced it was going to happen. I was like, oh, it's another thing that's in the diary and then it'll get cancelled and that'll be the end of it, sort of thing. But yeah, it happened. It was real, and it was a bit of a trek, because it was in Brighton, which is kind of the south, but it's nowhere near as south as we are. So it was still a good, I can't remember how long it took us now, like maybe 4 or 5 hours, something like that, long time to get there. So we made a bit of a thing of it. There are 3 people from down here grading as well, and then graded under Scott Sensei, which is great.
Who?
A guy called Scott. No, I think it
Sounds like an illegitimate Sandan. Cowboys.
Bunch of
Cowboys.
Rumbled.
Oh,
We're on the coffee today.
coffee. No Guinness.
The other black favourite drink of ours.
Yeah. So what cat did you do?
Sochin.
See, you need to get on the Sochin bandwagon, man.
Fuck off. Is there?
Get on the Sochin bandwagon.
Fuck off. Is there a video? Send us a video.
No.
We won't put it in the episode, I promise.
No, I actually don't think there is. I mean, there's one of me doing it for the, I don't know what the name was, the online catacomb in the summer.
Yeah.
Or before the summer. Yeah, there's one of them floating around somewhere, but no, not for the grading.
We did one of those too.
We
an
did one
online
of them,
catacomb.
yeah. We done that.
We didn't talk about it on the podcast.
No.
We won.
What kata did you do?
Yeah. We won.
Did you do so, Sensei? Ross?
No, I mixed up and done Gojo Shiho Show.
We both did Goju
Ooh.
Shiho show.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
First, I came second.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Did you tag team it, or did you just do one each?
We did we film it the same day? Yeah, Scott filmed it the same day.
I was gonna say, I saw a video which was very cleverly put together of one of you, then the other, then the other. Yeah, it was wicked.
Yeah. So those were our competition entries mashed together.
When you look at that one, you can see the difference.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. How dare you suggest you're better at karate than I am, Ross Sensei, 4th Dan HDKI. Fucker.
So you done Sochin, and then what did they ask you to do? Let me guess. Nijishio. Can you get
my
Nijishio?
guess is
No, you can't. It would have been MP.
It was empty, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You'd have floating one. You'd have floating one
Yeah.
after the strong one. Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
I
MP.
kind of expected that it might be MP, and then Lee, who's also from Paul's club, he got MP when as part of his Nidan grade, and I was like, oh, if Lee's got it, like, what am I going to get? Thinking it's going to have to be something else, but luckily it was MP, so that's good.
That's good.
So, why Sochin?
Honestly, because when I first did it, I hated it. I was like, this feels awful. But I like it. I like it when other people do it. I've enjoyed watching you do it, obviously, watching Paul do it, and Scott, of course. But when I did it, I was like, this is horrible. Like, I feel like I'm going the wrong way. My body isn't really working the way I want it to be. It just felt completely alien. I didn't go much on it at all. So that was the main reason for it. And I thought it's a big grade and it needs a big kata. Let's see if I can make it work. So yeah, worked on it over a long time to try and get it to where it was. And it felt pretty good actually on the day. I felt like it was, I don't think I could have done much more for it in terms of where I was at the time, which is good.
Nice.
That's good. By all accounts, I asked Scott how the gradings were when he came back from teaching. He said it was a really good standard, good level. So well done. Very good.
Oh, awesome.
And
That's
obviously the
good.
Kimite was Kimite, right? I mean, for those of you who don't know, Becky is one of the most successful kumite fighters in the HDKI. Medals probably stapled all over the wall behind you somewhere. Yeah,
they're hidden, but sure.
yeah. So kumites.
I was hoping you could turn the phone around and just show us your
That would be cool, wouldn't it? No, sadly not. Just got my radiator instead.
But yeah, I assume the kumite was a breeze. Yeah.
Sort of. It felt weird. I think with COVID, where we hadn't been having any kind of contact or anything like that, it was in the prep. It's the bit that I kind of was least worried about. And then we formed a bubble so that we were able to do it for the grading, so that there was no kind of issues or anything like that. And the first couple of times of doing it, I was like, I've forgotten how to move. The distancing was awful. I was totally knackered after like no time at all. It was, it was hard. It was hard getting back into it, but I enjoyed it. And it's good. I quite like fighting men, because you sort of know what you're getting. You know they're going to go for it.
Because they deserve it. Bastards.
So that definitely helped. Say again.
Why is it you like fighting men?
I think because I'm not. It's trickier when they're a bit kind of wary of fighting women and they back off a little bit. But generally, they're just up for it. They kind of they enjoy going in and having that bit of a scrap. Where I think sometimes, not always, obviously, there's a lot of strong female fighters for sure. But sometimes there have been I've come up against other gals in a grading or competition situation, or even just training, and they're a bit scared of going in, and it's a bit softly and. Obviously it's with control still, but I like to feel like if you were to go in and maybe you misjudged it or something, it wouldn't really matter. You'd both just kind of carry on and go again.
I think in this dojo there's a certain feminist sentiment among the women where they seem to be trying to. Maybe we should let a woman from the dojo speak about this, but it seems to me that they're trying to make sure that they get as stuck in at every opportunity.
I'm thinking off the top of my head of all the women who are enjoying their kumite, and they all get stuck in.
Yeah, I can't. Off the top of my head, I can't think of a female student who doesn't get stuck in.
Yeah,
awesome.
So,
yeah, good.
I think we do our best to nurture that and make sure that they.
It's because we're great feminists.
Because we're great. We're great. Therefore,
it's
they're great.
Behind every great female karateka.
What a brave place to go with that.
That goes. I have to say, I don't know. Did you watch the Olympics yesterday? Did you watch karate?
No,
I
haven't seen it yet, but I've seen a few clips. I haven't sat down and watched it properly, but it looked all right.
So I watched I only saw the women's kata final, and I saw some of the men's under 68 kilos,
67.
Yeah, that's it, and the female under 68, I think it was. Mm-hmm. And the men were timid and cagey, and the women were getting all the points.
Really?
Yeah, it was much more entertaining.
You're talking about kumite now?
Yeah. Women getting stuck in. So yeah, maybe it's just a thing.
Yeah, it's just
women who like kumite just can go for it.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah, I think it plays a part. I think if you're going to go for it, especially at that level, like you need that kind of ability, I guess, to think fuck it and sort of put any fear to one side and fully commit. Otherwise, what's the point?
Yeah, no, for sure.
What's the fucking point?
What's the point?
Shit or get off the pot.
That's it. No, but I was watching men, and they were like almost scared to engage. Like it's always like, if I go 1 point down, I'm never going to get it back. Style of fighting. Whereas it looked like in the women's categories, they were just thinking, I'm going to outscore you by 20. Here we go.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm-hmm. Nice.
And they just had that attitude. It was very good. Very, very entertaining.
Cool.
Have you guys done much kumite that's not shogo ippon?
Yeah, I've done a lot.
Competition kumite, I mean,
Yeah, I've done it.
How is it?
When I was with the JKS in Scotland, it was mandatory that we competed in the WKF as well. And I have to say that is very humbling. There is very different from shogo ippon. It's very difficult to be good at one and not the other. To be good at one and the other is very difficult, I think.
I don't understand why. And maybe some of our listeners don't understand either. You still have to score a point. You just have to score more of them in the WKF rules.
In WKF though, there's a lot less risk because there's not as much. I've always felt like there wasn't as much contact, so you were willing to put yourself in a much more risky position and try much more riskier techniques because you kind of knew that if you got blasted from it, you were either getting back in the day they used to give you points for. If you started getting too many warnings, they'd start giving the other person points.
Oh.
Or, they were going to get just a warning. So I always found it was very tricky because I used to end up getting I've got the best control in the world.
Yeah.
The best control in the world. Yeah. And I used to get warnings and stuff all the goddamn time.
For too much contact?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
That sounds awful.
Yeah, but I was younger at the time though, so maybe with the kids they're a lot more strict, So yeah, I struggled with it.
Well, when we're competing, when Scott gets us to do shobu whip on sparring, you stick them in then. You've given me a few ouchies.
That's because you have to win.
You always do win.
I can't because the thing is, the one time that it will happen, the one time you do beat me, I'll never hear the goddamn end of it. I beat Roth in morning training once. It's no, so I have to.
I scored on you once.
There you go.
Once in 3 years.
Just once. That's awesome.
Thank you.
But yeah.
You're on mute, Becky. Oh, she's back.
She's back. But did you compete in WKF committee?
No, I've done Shobu Sanbon once. Or twice, maybe.
Used to that.
And I quite liked it. I like that you've got more chance to go for it, that you haven't got to be quite so cagey, because you can go a point down and think, oh, that's all right, I've still got plenty of time and plenty of opportunity to get that back. And I always go a point down when I'm fighting, I always do. So to then have less pressure to be able to get the point back and try stuff and kind of play around a little bit more. I like the idea of that. Whereas obviously Shobu Whip-On, it's when you do go that point down, it's oh God, this is it now. Sort it out.
So Shobu Sanbon means 3 points to win,
yeah,
as opposed to just 1.
Yeah,
got it.
Yeah.
And the JKS, the final used to always be Shobu Sanbon.
Yeah.
So if you get to the final, you were fighting Shobu Sanbon. If you weren't used to it, you were in trouble. You got, because that's tiring as well.
You get tired.
You don't realize it's so much longer. Yeah.
It's not tiring if you just stand still and do Gyakuzuki.
No. No.
That's the way to do it.
But you've done other things other than karate as well, though. Have you done kickboxing, boxing?
I did a little bit of boxing. I was all set to do a charity match, and then had a bit of an accident and hurt my head quite severely. They had to glue it back together. Which isn't. I don't really know what happened, but I had a lovely night out before that. So
I was like, watch my head roll, watch my head roll.
Yeah, maybe it was. I made the right mess. There's blood everywhere, but I didn't realise until a couple of days afterwards. I had a look at it, and I think where I've got so much hair, and it was just a big bloody mat. I had no idea. So it was only a couple of days afterwards that I was like, oh, I still feel a bit dizzy and a bit sick, and this isn't quite right. So I went to the hospital, and they told me off. They were like, you should have come in days ago. You're a mess. So I was like, oh, sorry. Can you fix it then? But it got right in the way of my training, because even though that's the main thing. Even though I waited a little bit and sort of built back up gradually, I think part of the problem is I was sparring with girls that are a lot heavier than me. So probably I would say at least 5-10 kilos heavier. So their punches are a lot more powerful. They're a lot more experienced than I am as well with boxing. I was just finding after every training session, I was really dizzy and I was struggling to kind of remember what had happened in the session. So I had to take some advice from a doctor, and he was just luckily he was really good. He'd also done martial arts to some description. He's like, you're not going to like what I've got to say, but you need to pull out. And I was like, okay. So I did. Obviously, but yeah, he was good as gold with it. He didn't tell me off as such. He was just, he said, I get where you're at, and I know you're not going to want to stop, but you need to. So yeah, so that ruined that, which was a shame.
And all right, so wow.
And do you find that experience helps your karate a lot?
Not getting the head split, but the boxing.
Yeah, less. Yeah, I think so. It's different training methods. I think everything is kind of helpful. It's good for fitness. It's good to see different stuff and how you can kind of pick bits up and bring it back and kind of develop it and stuff. But I like, especially if you're doing pad work in boxing, it's a lot more kind of free flowing, and it's a good mix of I'm going for power now, or I'm going for speed now. And I think if you can kind of take that with you and bring that into your karate training, it works quite nicely.
Yeah. No, I've done a bit of other martial arts, and I find that every different martial art that I've done, you can always find a sort of link back to karate with it. And I find that it helps me a lot when, especially when, like, it's terrible to say, sorry, Scott Sensei, but sometimes when you get bored of Shotokan karate a little bit, like doing it every day, eventually you just go, I don't want to do Zenku Sudachi ever again. And like the last couple of days, I've just been doing head movement drills that I've picked up from my time doing other martial arts and stuff. And different methods of training and stuff like that. Getting the timer on and doing like rounds rather than counting each knee sanchi go, it just makes a huge difference. You know, it makes it more fun for me just to get that sort of break and do something a little bit different and show the guys like a different aspect of martial arts. They enjoy it as well because they've never done it before. It's very good.
Yeah, nice.
I've done different types of stuff, but Ross's classes lately have been really enjoyable.
Oh, that's very nice. Thank you. Yeah, you're very
Ross.
No, it's good. It's good to mix it up, definitely. Do you find, and this is one of the things, because I often thought, and this is one of the reasons that I kind of haven't taught before now, is because karate for me is mine. That's my time, that's my space. And I think if my worry was that if I was going to be teaching it, that would take that away from me. And obviously with you guys doing it full time as well, do you find that it's everything, or is that a good thing, or have you lost what you were getting from it before you were teaching so much?
I've lost the motivation to excel in the more, maybe not, the more superficial aspects, like competition doesn't really motivate me anymore. Because I think that to be good at that, you need to be completely selfish, and to be motivated to do that style of training, which is very much like that kind of in its own little bracket of karate. I find, competition style, you have to to do it. If you want to win, you have to tweak your katas to suit the judges, as opposed to doing it the way that you would perform it in the dojo. Your kumite practice then has to be sort of dictated by these strict set of rules that you're competing under. You can't do things that you maybe would want to do in terms of like just being able to defend yourself or whatever. So I feel like that aspect is kind of the more I teach and the more I kind of dive into what karate really is, that ship starts sailing further and further away, that competition aspect. But it doesn't really motivate me anymore. Like, oh, there's competition coming up, I really want to win. It's more like, oh, there's competition coming up and I should compete, so I'm going to compete. And then I don't feel as confident on the day, so I have to, I have to go and start, marching up and down and trying to get into that competitive mindset again,
Punching yourself in the face.
He puts the headphones on, and a storm cloud forms over his head, and there's fucking Linkin Park blaring out of it, and he's just like...
So I feel like that sort of the personal thing of achieving medals and things like that goes away. But then I think that's filled up with just being like, I think making karate your own goes hand in hand with teaching it, because then you start teaching your karate.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Well, you've had a lot of experience in competition, and that was once the focus of your training. So I get how you went through that transition, or your motivation changed and you had that arc. But I only really got really into karate when I joined this dojo, which was 2014 or 2015. And it didn't take long after I started coming to classes here for me to decide I wanted to be an instructor. Even before I got my black belt, I was like, if it just
I want to be like
Ross. And then bit by bit it became it started seeming like something that was more and more possible. Got the Shodan, came along to morning classes, moved to Cork, went on tour for a year, then moved to Cork.
Red Rooster Karate.
Red Rooster Karate. In Cork! In Cork, down in Cork, and then got the job here. So it all came together.
Nice.
Yeah.
As an aside, my nana's from Cork. Was from Cork.
Yeah.
There was something we liked about you.
Just that one thing. Yeah, we came. We went and visited a few years ago. Now it's not a bad place.
Oh, it's a great place.
Yeah.
It's
Speak funny though. Speak quite funny.
Yeah, they do. When you're down in Cork, you don't know when you're coming or going by. But they seriously believe that Cork is the real capital of Ireland.
Don't bring that up around Tommy.
Yeah.
But it is the real capital.
And they what was I going to say about Cork again? Oh yeah, some people in the dojo still think I'm from Cork because I moved from there to here, but I'm not. I'm from Roscommon.
Which is a puddle.
It is
somewhere else.
It's home, but.
But you were saying that you feel like karate is your personal thing. So has it been a transition to sort of change from karate is my downtime, it's my my getaway place where I can just focus on myself? Do you find that there was a transition period where it was like, okay, this is my karate now, or do you think it's still teaching's now becoming your sort of home away from home?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the answer to that is. I think the fact that I'm still training as a student twice a week sort of regularly, that helps because that's still my time, my space. And I don't know, I think because I've trained for a long time, albeit that I picked it up and put it down a few times, I think it's nice to sort of to be giving back and to start to see other people develop. And, I think I said it is part of my own development as well. So I think, and maybe you have it because a lot of your students compete, don't you, like already? So, and do really well at it too. So I think as and when I've got students that are kind of competing, I think that'll tick the competition box for me too. The thing that you were saying about kind of you feel less driven to compete now because your energy's kind of elsewhere, and I guess you're getting that sort of, I don't know what it is, you're getting that satisfaction back from in a different way. Competition for me is a lot about having goals, something to work towards, and I need that. I like to have that structure and to feel like I'm making progress with whatever it is that I'm doing. And competition's not an easy way to do that. That's not what I mean. But certainly before COVID, when there were so many that were available to go to, and different events, different types of events, different people that you were seeing at them, it's more tangible. Whereas when you are teaching, I guess it's a much longer period. And I know that was maybe the biggest kind of learning curve. Well, the first thing I noticed is that people look angry when you're trying to teach them, and I think it's where they're concentrating. But I was like looking back at people, like looking for so I try and have quite an informal approach, and it's quite chatty and stuff like that. And I'm thinking I'm being hilarious, and this is nice and fun, and everyone's just like really stern faces staring back at me, and I was like, oh God, am I making no sense at all? But
this is the face I normally get.
The podcast people only listening can't see that.
Yeah,
mouth agog.
Yeah,
eyes crossed.
Trying to think what movie character that is. I don't know.
Yeah, so you know how lots of people who would see themselves as strictly into traditional karate, and I'm doing big air quotes, and they bemoan the focus on competition karate. They must have been delighted with COVID since all the competitions had to be cancelled. And
well, not all the traditional karate guys are obsessed with competition as well.
Huh?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
All the traditional guys are obsessed with competition as well. They only see the competitor as like, the successful competition karate guy is the best. Because sure, how else do you judge it on? I think if you look at like a traditionalist dojo, which would be like, the KGB, for example.
No, I'm talking about like people who do Okinawan styles, who don't do any competition, and who believe in bunkai. weird, all right? I know.
Yeah, Tuari on, you know. Yeah, Tuari, if you're listening, your bunkai ain't worth shit. A lot of nonsense.
But yeah, so no.
Sorry, but a double tap just won't work. It won't work. Try and double tap somebody punching you full belt in the face. Ain't going to happen.
Hang on. What I was saying though is that Becky, since you had no competitions to go to, I think what kind of what you were just saying, it sounded to me like the lack of competitions made you shift the kind of focus of your karate, or kind of changed what karate meant to you. And you're saying that was a good thing.
Yeah, I think so. Like Ross was saying, because if you're in sort of competition mindset, you need to be quite selfish. Your training is for you. Excuse me. And without that, it was like, oh, actually, there's more here. I've kind of freed up some brain space. What else can I be doing that's going to challenge still? But in a different way, and I guess in a more inclusive way, because I wouldn't necessarily be looking to bring anyone into a lot of my own prep for competition in terms of the general kind of fitness cardio stuff. That's stuff that I would do by myself. Of course, it's helpful to have people to fight against still, but without that, it was completely different. It was always on the cards that I was going to open a dojo at some point, but yeah, I just brought it forward by a couple of years. Because last year I was hoping was going to be a big competition year for me. It had there was a couple of like worlds or European stuff that was penciled in, and then it didn't happen. Yeah. So that was quite hard, because I've been training towards that. I'd done quite a few competitions, and they'd gone fairly well. I had some areas that I was working on, and was excuse me, really working on my fitness, making sure that was where it needed to be. And then it's just like gone, all of it. And it just kind of felt like, oh well. And let's not waste what I've done and put into it so far. Where else can I channel it? So yeah, that's where it was kind of went really.
Now, how do you think we do in one of your cardio sessions?
Oh, you guys smashed it.
Yeah, I think we should try it.
I stole for a good 4 weeks this exercise, because I trained with you on Zoom. That's the first time I ever trained with you, was when you led the GB squad session.
Oh, yeah.
And you've done these awesome like squat into stance leg exercises. It was like squat, zinkets, squats, kiba, squats, kokut, squats, dual and you just kept going
until your legs fall off. And I was like, so I stole that from you straight away. It was very good.
Good. Yeah, nice. They're tough though.
I missed that session. We need to get one of your cardio sessions on Zoom, I think, just for the challenge.
Yeah.
Sure.
What was I going to say though? Oh yeah, I want to ask you a question which we get asked a lot, and I imagine you get asked a lot as well. And it's a very, very funny question. But we've had people, friends and family saying, "And why aren't you in the Olympics?"
Great question. Yeah.
You should look into it.
Yeah, that's what he was like. Trust me, man, I would get killed. These people are lightning. And he was like, "No, man, I think you've got the makings. You should look into it."
Yeah, definitely. And people are like, "Oh, do you think you'd be in the next one then?" And I'm like, "The next one?" Yeah, no, a lot that gets asked a lot. I mean, it depends who's asking the question, but I normally say, yeah, maybe.
It's not in the Olympics in France next time, though.
No, they dropped it. I think they did almost like a petition to try and say, come on, guys, this is going to be brilliant, keep it going. But yeah, Paris won't have it.
If you put it side by side with the Taekwondo, they'll definitely go, yeah, okay.
Yeah, what? Oh, yeah, correct.
Yeah. It's much better.
And skateboarding and surfing.
If they have skateboarding and surfing in, you have to have karate, sure.
But they chop sports all the time that nobody's interested in anymore.
They tried to chop wrestling one year, and it was like, that's what started it all off. You can't chop the fucking first event ever created. Like, yeah.
Next thing they'll chop the discus.
Goodbye.
I think they can pick up and bring in. I think they get rid of 4 or 6, and then they bring in 4 or 6 new ones or something like that. They've got the option to do something.
Yeah.
Nah.
I mean, get rid of the horse one, surely. That's nonsense. Yeah, question. It's just because the Queen does it.
It's just because the Queen does it.
Bruce Springsteen's daughter does it.
Really?
Yeah.
Is she in the Olympics?
Yeah. She's won medals. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, I think the horse won the medal.
Exactly.
The
I saw
horse
a
won the
TikTok
medal.
about that. The horses
Oh, yeah?
deserve the medals.
Horse,
I saw it from
definitely.
the horse's point of view. The horse is being interviewed.
Oh, I didn't think I was making it over that one that
Yeah,
time.
exactly. And it's like, he's like, yeah, you know, well, I just want to thank my coaches and my, yeah. And then your one over there is wearing the medal, and she's like, yeah, I just wish I could get my own medal.
Carrot or something, you know?
Big carrot for the horse.
Or an apple.
It is weird dancing horses.
Yeah, strange. Strange.
Very strange.
Yeah. Do you know what would be great crack in the Olympics? I've done this once, and it's team kumite, but like tag team kumite.
Okay.
So I done this in the when I was with the WUKF, and what happens is you can have a 3 or a 5-man team, and you have a coach, and 2 guys will go out and fight, and say one guy is getting dominated, the coach, when the Yami's called, can shout change, and points or whatever needs to be awarded is awarded, and then the fighters swap with the next guy, and they can fight. And then this team's like, oh, we don't want to fight. I can change this guy, like who's much taller, is going to fight that, and it's all the tag team sort of tactics, and you can keep changing. But if you get ipponned, you can't come back in. You're out. You're like out the team.
Wow, that must take ages.
It's great fun. Like you're like,
but also you'd be wrecked.
But you're also raging because sometimes like you get taken off, and you're like, I have this guy. Come on, like, you know, like
coach, put me in.
Yeah. And that would be a class one to have in the Olympics.
Yeah.
Team rotation.
Have you seen those really stupid things like 5-person MMA fights
Yeah.
where 5 guys fight against 5 guys all at the same time? And there's just no rules.
They've got like 5 refs as well. Like they've got 5 referees just to make sure that when somebody doesn't get like pummeled into the ground. Like
Paul quite often does this at his class, and it's brilliant. It's good fun for the kids, but he'll have say 3 or 4 people in a team, and then you're all on at the same time, so everyone can go against everyone, and it's chaos.
Nice.
Yeah,
Shark Tank is always fun.
I do a Shark Tank in the competition class. I'll give everyone a number, and goes in the middle when I shout the number, and they, I try and shout the number that's closest to them. So when the shout change, the punch comes from the side.
I'd accidentally injured a small child in that class 2 weeks ago during the Shark Tank.
He's all smacked it. It was wee Ben, and he's all smacked the shit out of wee Ben. I was like, is he making such a face today? Everyone was like Carl, like fucking proper full on Kazami Aki's face. He's only like 10.
Character building.
It was an accident. No, it wasn't. It wasn't for lack of control. It was a sweep, and he hit the ground kind of hard.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do? He tough. He didn't quit. He kept going,
yeah.
and then he had a wee weepy moment at the end.
But it was after.
Yeah,
but he stayed in it.
Stayed in it,
and that's character building
to the end. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny because
Well, thank you for that one day.
Sorry.
He'll thank you for that one day, I'm sure.
That's it. Exactly.
No, I'm going to be his nemesis now because when he grows up, he's probably going to be about my size. He's only a small kid, so he's going to be counting down the days till he can kick my ass. So in about 10 years, he's going to come at me and he's going to kill me. And I can't wait. Ross Sensei just goes to the camera with 5 fingers, like it'll be 5 years.
Yeah, but so you've been doing the dojo for 18 months, and have you had a grading with your dojo yet? A couple gradings?
Yeah, we had a couple. Paul and Laura have both done a grading, which is really helpful. I was as nervous for that as if I was grading. I think that kind of validation of I taught them anything, like where are they at? So yeah, it's really, really good. And then we've got a big one coming up at the end of this month to mark the kind of the 1 year anniversary. It'll be a big grading awards afterwards, and then like playing some silly games and eating cake. That's the idea.
Nice. That's good.
Yeah,
it's important, I think, to create that community by doing stuff like that. At our Christmas party, we give out awards. 3 awards, well now 4 awards technically, but like we give 3 awards to the kids. We give best technique, best spirit and most improved, and we try and make
Nice.
a different person every Christmas, like different kid. Like we don't want the same kid winning, like best spirit every time because they're bad into the karate. We want to try and mix it up a bit, and the adults we do the same.
Sure.
But I brought in the wee ball bag of the year award.
Where's the statue? Oh, it's not.
Georgia, who was on the podcast the other day, was she's currently
she's currently the wee ball bag of the year.
It was Brian Rooney, Georgia.
She's reigning wee ball bag.
Yeah, and we're gonna have to get that.
What a title!
That's it.
But yeah, building a community through your dojo, like a long time before I came here and Ross came here, this dojo was a really close and warm community, and it still is.
Yeah,
goes from strength to strength.
Nice. I think it makes a difference, doesn't it? Definitely.
Yeah.
That was another reason. That was how I kind of picked where it was. It's literally like I live in Plymouth, and there's this sort of little bit that's it's kind of just on the outskirts, but it's not very big, but there's nothing here. Like there's loads of kids, they're all over the place, and there's no clubs or anything like that. And I just thought, and I think especially because most of the training that we've done over the last few months has been online, so they haven't all necessarily met each other yet. The classes are split and obviously quite strict on numbers and stuff like that still. So now that it's all lifted, it will just be a case of it'll be the first time that we've all trained together in person, which would be great.
Brilliant.
Awesome, cool,
brilliant.
Yeah.
And tonight you're teaching at Chrissy Howard's dojo.
I am.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very good.
Yeah.
I seen a clip of you. Were you leading the class? It was Eden smashing the pads. Like Eden was just.
She's a machine, isn't she, Eden?
It was
Brilliant.
very cool. Very cool to see her giving it socks. Was that you leading the class? Was that you teaching?
Yeah, that's right. So Chrissy did a sort of female karate day last Saturday. I could only go along for the afternoon because I teach in the morning at mine. So I think she'd done an Unzoom masterclass, which I was disappointed to miss. But to mix it up in the afternoon, we just smashed the pads really. The sort of theme loosely was relaxation in your karate, and hitting stuff, which was nice. Yeah. It was good. And then
can you give us a preview to what you're going to teach tonight?
Of course. Tonight is explosivity. Is that a word? Making your karate explosive. So we are going to get the tubes out and do some little bits of Kion, Kata, and Kumite too.
Oh, the KKK.
I did not write that in my notes.
You write that on a big clipboard, KKK.
Wearing a white outfit.
Little dragon. What do they call it?
Grand wizard dragon, whatever he calls himself. Yeah.
But just jokes, folks. Just jokes. But excellent explosivity. That's nice. Good. So you're teaching thematically then, yeah? That's your teaching style.
Yeah. I was finding that without it, every time I was trying to plan a lesson, I had no idea what I was doing, and then I was sort of piecing together lots of stuff that didn't necessarily go together. So try and do sort of some themes for different sessions. Like on a Wednesday, our Wednesday class is still online, and that goes in like 4 weekly cycles. So we'll pick something. The last cycle was about compression and expansion, and then we applied it to basics 1 week, kata, then kumite, and then like training methods for the 4th week. So that's for the Wednesday sessions. We've just started, and that's why I picked it for tonight. We've just started looking at making our karate more explosive on those Wednesdays, so that will follow that theme. But yeah, I've lumped it all into one giant session for Chrissy's students. So
brilliant.
Sounds kind of Paul Uren-esque.
Almost like you've learned from the master.
Sounds Uranian.
Uranian,
that's the word I invented. Anything pertaining to or of Paul Uren. Uranian.
I find that teaching thematically. Obviously, Scott's kind of installed that in me, but I find I can do it for everything except kata. I think my kata sessions go much better when I teach the kata. Here's a section. Here's this part. This part. This part. Dup, 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 dup. Okay, practice. Go. Yummy. And I get them to drill it, this section of the kata, enough times, And then if there's a bit that I find quite difficult, I'll focus on that bit for a while. And I feel like that, like trying to teach, because kata's got a bit of everything in it. I always struggle with themes with kata.
Yeah, and what Scott Sensei does, I think, is that he can choose any principle and apply it to any kata, because he'll find, I don't know, this bit in Goju Shiho Sho, he'll find some way of making that
This gankaku bit.
Sorry, gankaku.
Spot the Nidan, Becky. Spot the Nidan.
We've been doing lots of gankaku lately, so I just got confused. All right, excuse me. If I just done that, it would have been Goju Shiho Sho. Maybe
it's different.
Show. Who's going to tell me I'm wrong?
Scott.
Anyway, so he can take any, and he'll find ways to highlight that principle in any move in any kata.
Yeah.
Whereas I was just like driving into Hamni once, and I was like, there's loads of this in Basadai.
Yeah.
But where the bits in Basadai where that isn't important, I just kind of skip them.
And I find that Scott Sensei's teaching the theme. And teaching the theme through kata, whereas I'm trying to teach them the kata.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's where the difference is, because I think they can practice going into Hamni any other day, but let's actually try and get them to learn this kata and memorize this kata and actually have it in their reservoir to pull out whenever they want, you know? Because I find like a lot of the time when Scott does a kata, because he teaches it thematically, they'll get the theme really well, which is what he wants, but they'll forget the kata
because they've only done it full way through like twice.
Yeah, exactly. They'll forget the kata very quickly.
Yeah,
you get guys like some people in morning training who still slip up on certain kata, and you're like,
what are you talking about?
Always.
No, fuck you. Listen, man, I'm too in the moment to remember kata. I just start improvising.
Shuhari.
Thank you, Becky. Shuhari. Thank you. That's the way I look at it.
So what's the biggest challenge that you find in teaching? What's been the biggest sort of struggle for you?
Well, I think initially I had total beginners through to Nidan, people that had come back to training, and sort of 5-6-year-olds through to nearly 60-year-olds, trying to do them all as like one class. Didn't work a bit. So that was the first thing, was sort of having to be more adaptable and working out what the level is for different people. Obviously you want to be challenging people still, but you don't want to make it so hard that they just kind of go, what are you talking about? So kind of getting the balance right, I think, and dividing the class has definitely helped with that.
Nice. What's the hardest part for you teaching now?
The hardest thing about teaching?
For you now, now that you're...
You mean kids or adults?
It doesn't matter.
I loved your adventures, your stories, the journeys that you were going on. I think I maybe over Zoom and stuff like that. That was awesome. Totally original.
Thank you. Yeah, that was good fun until I lost the motivation to keep.
Yeah, sure.
Talked about that on the episode with Georgia. But I don't know. You answered that. Well, I think what's the hardest thing?
The hardest.
You mean at the moment, like something we're going through right now, or in general?
In general.
Oh.
I think for me the hardest thing now is when there's a student that doesn't want to be there. Because you get that sometimes kids are forced, or teenagers are forced a little bit, and I feel like they don't want to be there. Then I'm like, well, I don't really want to waste my time putting my energy into teaching you if you don't want to learn. So I have to stop myself from ignoring them. You know, it'd be motivating to teach the people who don't care. For me just now, I'm saying that because I had one of them at the start of the week, didn't want to be there, and was just like, and I was trying my best to like be, oh my god, you have to do the dance, blah, 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 like a big clown, and try and get them into it, but nah, didn't work. And I was just like, oh well, fuck you. And then you're like, no, Ross, keep going, keep chipping away, see if you can get in there. After 7 years, you're kind of like, 7 years of pretending to care.
Yeah, I know. But I really do care a lot, and I can start a class with very little motivation, and then just like I'm unable to accept that a kid is going to not put in any effort, so I'll get on their case a little bit, kind of, and sometimes getting on their case doesn't work at all. It makes them worse, and I used to realize that. I just thought I just needed to get on their case even more, and I needed to stop the class until they actually tried to do it right. But I'm getting a little bit less heavy-handed now, and just trying to find, like you were telling me this at the start, but I think I just had to learn it in my own time, how there's a different approach for different students.
Yeah.
And I was just like, when you've got so many kids in a class, how are you supposed to be able to take the time to figure out a student's, needs, an individual student's needs? But you get better at it. You get more relaxed when you're up there. You can look around a bit more, and you gradually get into that. But that's not what's challenging at the moment. The thing that's challenging me, once again, is just going to be about myself. It's always about me. Ross is always about other people, and I'm always about me.
Right.
At the moment, I'm trying to be fully warmed up and fully limber for every class, so that I can demonstrate things properly. Because I do so many classes in a day, and I have to hop off my bicycle, and it's usually outdoors, and it might be really, really cold or really, really warm or damp or something, and I'm just, sometimes it's like, I don't want to train, but I do have to teach. So I'll just do a really quick warm-up, and then I'll like...
Warm-ups wreck my head, man.
Yeah?
They wreck my head. Like sometimes, I'll have 5 classes in a row, and I'm doing a warm-up for every class, because you have to lead a warm-up. You're like, I'm not stretching anymore.
I need to stretch. In order to do anything anywhere near properly, I have to stretch. And if I'm not limber and ready to teach, my stances are going to look shit. They're going to be really short, and I'm going to be like having aches in my hips, and I'll be doing hand showdown and then you step forward and punch, and I'll do it a bit, and then I'll look at them and I'm like, no, do it better. But I'm not going to tell you how. You know how it's done. Come on. But to be a good example physically all the time, I used to be a lot better at that. I used to be a lot more physical, and then I kind of started going easy on myself. I'd get very physical in training, but I'd take it easy during teaching. But I need to amp up the actual physical effort.
It's all ahead of you guys, man. Eventually, you're just like, why am I killing myself in this class?
But you're always
when the kids are like, the kids are just like, and you're like, why am I doing this?
But I'm not just talking about speed and power, because you're naturally very supple, and you can blast out a load of stuff without actually having to stretch.
Yeah.
All right. And I'm not comparing myself to you or whatever. I'm just saying, for me to do it well, I need to prepared myself and warmed up my body. Because
you're naturally quite springy over it, aren't you?
Sorry?
So you're naturally quite springy.
And zippy.
Zippy, springy.
Springy, yeah.
The spirit animal is a squirrel.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
But stiff. But like I'm like a bullet. I can move very fast in one direction. But all the unpredictable kind of supple changing and like different attacks that Ross can do. Or that would be the octopus style karate. I'm working on that. It's time for a fail.
It's time for a fail, I think. You've got a hot date.
I've got a date to go on. But right now,
Becky, have you, and it's okay if you haven't. Have you listened to this podcast before?
I have, and I've been racking my brains trying to think of a fail. But all right, I've got one. So when I was teaching last weekend, we were going through Hein Shodan, really sort of working on driving into your techniques as you come through. So you're coming down the front, Agiyukis, making sure you've got your hip turn, really concentrating on that. So I'm getting myself all ready. We've demonstrated, they've done it a couple of times. We're going for full speed and power now. Do it like this, guys. And as I've gone, do it like this. Donk, straight on my face.
So you
don't do it like that.
You were doing Agiyuke and you managed to put yourself right in the face.
You came inside instead of outside. That's the rule.
I think I must have been talking as I was doing it. Who said women can multitask, Gabe?
Oh, class.
Yeah, I've done that before as well.
Yeah.
But I just turn to the kids and be like, oh, I just punched myself in the face. And I start crying.
That's the one thing I always say. It's like, I've seen kids punch themselves in the chin all the time. Like, I've never really seen it before. Like, I tell them all the time that they come on the inside, they punch it. But there you go. 2 seasoned veterans of karate. Fucking don't.
If you don't keep that fist connected to your shoulder doing agiempe, poof, you just get another.
I've heard that's the way to do it, yeah.
Oh, we know. We're like, us 3 here, we know how to do agiempe.
You should elbow with your hand open.
That's true.
Yeah. All your elbows should be open.
A size elbows are always hand open in the Asai kata.
If you touch here, this bit here, and make a fist, and then this bone here, and then you flex it. Yeah. You flex your fingers open, that bone sticks out, and that's the one
it's because that muscle goes down.
That's the one that.
You'll have to watch this on YouTube, folks, to get what we're talking about. There's a muscle here, and when you pull
just
your
above
fist,
the point of your elbow. If you make a fist, your muscles sort of tenses and covers it, and then when you straighten your fingers out, you can feel the blade of that bone, and that's the one that cuts everyone open apart.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. See? So
you ever get me with a blade?
Every day to school.
Can you feel it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I'm going to wow people with that.
Is there any kind of martial application for this muscle? You know, that strange muscle.
I want to pop it.
It's like his fist. It's not a tumor.
It's a tumor.
Not everyone has it.
How have you built that up?
I think it's the guitar strumming.
You think so? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like the wrist
That's
action.
My strumming muscle.
That wrist action.
Yeah, must be that.
Yeah, mate.
that wrist action.
This is a family show. There are children watching.
I was out with the lovely Deirdre. And we were walking down the street, and me and Deirdre were having a conversation where I was having a little bit of a rant and a rave about.
You were having an event.
A little vent, and it was about the Olympics. It was about the gymnast Simone
Biles.
The American.
What was it? Simone Biles.
Simone Biles, yeah.
Yeah, Simone Biles, and she had to pull out of the Olympics because of the twisties.
The twisties.
The twisties is apparently a thing that gymnasts get where when they're flipping, they lose focus of what part of the tumble they're in, and then they can't see the floor, and they don't know where to land. So it's obviously very dangerous. So she pulled out until that kind of subsided, and there was 2 things I was ranting about. One was ranting about how before anyone knew what it was, they said that she'd pulled out because of mental health issues.
Yeah,
that's what I'd heard,
Yeah, but immediately people started jumping on about how the Olympics is racist and sexist and all these things, which might be true, who knows. But they jumped on the bandwagon without even waiting to hear what actually was wrong. So it turns out it was a thing that all gymnasts get at some point. They can all get it and stuff. Nothing to do with how she was feeling mentally because of outward pressure.
Okay.
So I was ranting about that. But then I was equally ranting about how some right-wing politicians and stuff had been badgering her on Twitter. Saying she's a quitter, and like Piers Morgan, the ball bag, saying like, there's nothing brave about quitting. And all this stuff, like just attacking her for making a decision about her health, you know?
Because people would have been saying she was brave for speaking about mental health, right? Oh, but there's nothing brave about it.
And I was going off on these guys saying, and that Piers Morgan fucking cunt, he's a fucking dickhead, da. And I was effing and blinding, you know, talking about it, like quite high, because I was getting quite, my blood was boiling. I was like, and he's a fucking, like, who the fuck does that? What a fucking cunty thing to do. It's awful. Hi, Ross Sensei. One of the wee students, Lauren, was outside the Indian takeaway just at the Triangle. I was like, right beside me, so I was like, hear me say all the bad words. All the bad words. Oh, it was so bad.
Oh my God.
So bad. Yeah.
Do you think she heard you?
This is impossible not to. She had was probably walking right beside me, and I was in a white rage. So yeah, that was a bit of a fail.
Yeah, but fuck Piers Morgan anyway.
I always nearly say Piers Brosnan, whom I love. He's great crack. Pierce Brosnan, the actor, James Bond.
I know who he is.
You don't like him?
Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yeah. Volcano.
Oh yeah.
The other one, Dante's Peak.
Ah.
Yeah, the other Volcano movie. Very good. Yeah. But there, that's my film.
Good film.
Got there in the end.
All right, we have to go.
Yes, Rue has a hot date.
Becky, well, you know what I was thinking?
What are you thinking?
Why do people say hot date when really, if you were going on a date, like, of course it's a hot date. You're not going to go on a mild date or a cold date. You should be looking forward to every date.
But people you're attracted to are hot.
Exactly. So
it's a hot date.
Well, so every date I go on is a hot date. so it's just a date.
I'll be nice and refrain from making comments.
If you describe it as mild or mediocre, then it's probably not going to go beyond the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a hot date.
It's a hot date.
It's a hot date.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Enjoy.
Well, Becky, it has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much. That was great fun, and we'll for sure have you on again at some point.
Sounds good. Good to see you both.
Good to see you.
Oh, Becky, thanks for listening, folks. Bye.
Oses.
Okay, it's 3, 2, 1.